Hi, if you want to watch exclusive content with hot girls that you won't watch on YouTube, namely where Naruto roasts Kushina and Mikoto and many other hot girls without restrictions, then visit my Boosty channel at the link in the description.
Sakura's POV. After graduating from medical school, I struggled to find a job. It's not that they didn't want me. No, it was me who turned them down. There were many things I didn't like about the job they offered me. The pay wasn't right. The staff wasn't right. In short, I didn't know what to choose. But soon, a brilliant idea occurred to me. With my degree, I could easily work as a family doctor for some rich and famous person. It's decided. I'll start working on it tomorrow, and I'll rest today. So, morning had arrived. After stretching sweetly in my bed, I reluctantly lifted my butt and trudged toward the bathroom. Having finished all my chores, I immediately sat down at the computer and began searching for suitable ads. An hour of hard work, but I still hadn't found anything worthwhile. And then, literally by chance, I came across a short ad. It read, "Family doctor needed for a family. Decent salary," and a phone number. There was nothing else in it. No conditions, no family name. I don't know what attracted me to such a strange and suspicious ad, but I decided to call anyway. I quickly dialed the number and waited for them to answer. "I'm listening." A pleasant female voice soon answered me. "Hello," I answered somewhat uncertainly. "I'm here about the ad." "Oh, hello." The woman continued asking me about everything she could, and I answered. "Okay, then I'll expect you today at 3 o'clock, and we'll talk some more," Mikoto said. During the conversation, she introduced herself. "Okay, see you later," I smiled and put the phone down. My happiness knew no bounds. I felt like I could do it. I ran around the apartment like crazy, twirling my cat around in my arms as he struggled to escape his owner's clutches. Finally, I tossed him into the air, to which he screamed like crazy and caught him just fine. A minute later, I finally put down the tortured animal, which had hastily disappeared under the sofa, and went to the closet with clothes. "So what should I wear to make my hosts think well of me?" I wondered out loud. After scanning the pile of clothes, I made up my mind. "Just what I need," I said, picking up the item I liked. It was a pink blouse that matched my hair, with a black belt around the waist and a black pencil skirt. I tossed the items on the bed and stood in front of the mirror, combing my long, unusually pink hair. Once I was done, I applied a light coat of makeup. "The first impression is everything," I thought, looking at myself in the mirror. "That'll do," I said, smiling sweetly at my reflection. Having put on the prepared blouse and skirt and taking my handbag, I left the house. "I'll take a taxi. Let my baby get some rest today," I thought, cheerfully clicking my heels. Baby was what I called my car. A Mitsubishi Lancer 10. A snow-white car with black rims. I love it more than anything. Having caught a taxi, I went to the address Mikoto gave me. Soon I was there, paid the driver, and got out. A luxurious two-story house stood before me. My mouth dropped open in admiration as I looked at such a beautiful building. "Wow," was all I could manage to say, and I headed toward the house. I rang the doorbell and waited for someone to open the door. Soon I heard hurried footsteps, and the door opened. But when I saw who opened the door, I was speechless. I simply stared at the object of my shock, not even blinking. "Hi, Hinata?" I asked, stuttering. She was as shocked as I was. "Sakura?" Having come to our senses, we rushed to hug each other. "Saku, what brought you to this part of the world?" Hina asked with a happy smile when we stopped hugging. "I arranged an interview with Mikoto-san," I replied. "And you work here then? It would be great if they accepted me too. The owners have been needing a family doctor for a long time." "Yeah, I'll keep my fingers crossed for you." The brunette smiled, and we finally entered the house. The inside was just as beautiful as the outside. There were paintings, figurines, and vases galore. There was expensive furniture. Now Hina sat me down on one of them, on a white leather sofa. She herself rushed off to call the owner. Hinata is my cousin. We hadn't seen each other for about 3 years. I knew she worked as a housekeeper for some rich family, but I never imagined that I would end up with the same rich people my sister worked for. My thoughts were interrupted by quiet footsteps on the stairs. I turned around. A pretty brunette of about 40 was coming down from the second floor. "Hello! You must be Sakura?" she asked, smiling sweetly. "Yes, it's me." I stood up and smiled too. We spent the next hour talking with Mikoto-san. She asked me about my skills, experience, and so on. And in the end, I was accepted. I was over the moon. I wanted to jump, but I held back. Otherwise, Mikoto-san would think their family doctor was crazy. Of course, I was very curious why they accepted me, even despite my young age and practically no experience. "Then I suggest you move into our house. We have a big house, enough for everyone," the brunette suggested. After thinking for a moment, I agreed. Then she called the driver and asked him to go to my house to pick up my things. Hinata volunteered to help, and off we went. We chatted happily the whole way, both of us incredibly happy to now be working in the same building. Having collected everything we needed, we headed back. Hinata showed me my room, which was next to hers. Across from ours were the rooms of the landlady's sons. Mikoto has 2 sons. One is 20, like me, and the other is a year older. I wonder if I'll be able to get along with them. Hina says there's no need to try, since both brothers are arrogant and only think about themselves. But I've concluded that, given her personality, she thinks so. She's a quiet, modest girl, and I'm the complete opposite. So, it's worth a try. Hina also says that both brothers are incredibly handsome, and rumor has it that they even have fan clubs. Wow, what have I gotten myself into? When I asked her if she liked any of them, she shook her head. I know she's secretly pining for my friend Naruto. "Saku, I have to tell you something," she said suspiciously. "Spill it." "Well, how can I say?" She scratched the back of her head. "This is the Uchiha's house." My jaw dropped to the floor with a thud at her words. "That's a good joke, Hina." I tried to smile. "But I'm not joking. It's the absolute truth." She glanced at her watch. "You'll see for yourself in about 15 minutes. "What?" "I'm leaving. Bye," I said, waving my hand. The thing is, Sasuke Uchiha, my youngest son, was my classmate and, at the same time, my friend. But one day, he betrayed his friends. But that's nothing. Things are much worse with my older brother. I liked him in middle school, and when he asked me out, I was over the moon. But that same day, I accidentally overheard a conversation between Itachi and that bespectacled idiot, Karen. Flashback. "I don't believe it. This simply can't be happening. He's going to ask me out." These were the thoughts running through the head of a girl with short pink hair. She walked cheerfully down the empty school hallway. She was wearing a long black skirt and a gray blouse. On her feet were strange ballet flats. She was happier than ever. Today, the most popular guy in school asked her to be his girlfriend. Half the school is chasing him, the other half is chasing his brother, Sasuke, and for some reason he chose her, a gray mouse, who is indistinguishable in both figure and appearance. She is, of course, very pretty, but no one notices it. The girl was distracted from her thoughts by voices. They were coming from around the corner, so the pink-haired girl was not noticed. "Karen, that was a bad idea," said a voice. The girl recognized it immediately. Itachi. "Why bad? She's very good. I've been wanting to spite her for a long time," Karen said, throwing herself around the brunette's neck. "And what harm did she do to you?" "It's not nice to play on people's feelings," the guy replied. "She just drives me crazy." The nerd. The redhead was wearing a very short blue dress and high heels. Itachi sighed, and Karen pulled him close and captured his lips in a passionate kiss. The poor pink-haired girl watched all this, tears streaming down her cheeks. No! Why did they do this to me? What did I ever do to them? Flashed through the poor girl's mind. She quickly turned and ran away from that place. And she still doesn't know that she was noticed that day. End flashback. After that day, I decided to completely change, both externally and internally. The first thing I did was transfer to a different school. With my grades, it was a piece of cake. Long skirts and gray sweaters gave way to loose miniskirts and blouses with revealing necklines. Nothing remained of the shy and quiet girl. But no one knows how I cried into my pillow at night. The only person I kept in touch with from my old school was Naruto Uzumaki. When he saw the new Sakura, he almost fell over. At my new school, I immediately had a ton of admirers. And soon, I was among the school's most popular bitches. I started dating the most popular guy in school, Sasori, and lost my virginity to him. But soon after, I dumped him. He tried for a long time to get me back, but by then, I was already dating someone else. Over the years, I've dated many people, but I've never truly loved anyone because I couldn't forget the dark-eyed brunette. But just when I started to forget him, this happened. Hey. Wait. Have you forgotten that you work here? Hinata grabbed my hand when I wanted to leave the room. Damn it. But Hina, I don't want to see him. I couldn't forget him for so long. I whined mock screamingly. Don't pay any attention to him. He won't either, my sister urged me. You've changed so much since your last meeting that he won't even recognize you. Come on, Saku, don't leave me alone again, the brunette begged, making a kawaii face. I sighed heavily. Okay, but only for you. I broke down. Hinata threw herself on my neck with a happy squeal. Hina, I can't breathe. I wheezed, starting to choke. Oh, I'm sorry. The sister smiled guiltily. Half an hour passed, but the brothers still hadn't arrived. Maybe they'd picked up some prostitutes and were having fun? I hoped so. I was sitting on the couch across from Mikoto, drinking tea. Hinata was dusting the bookshelves. Then I heard the door open. My heart sank. I stared transfixed at the door. Hinata looked at me fearfully, waiting for a reaction. The door opened, and a handsome brunette walked in. He was wearing regular jeans and a jacket. Sasuke. And right behind him came the one I least wanted to see. So many years had passed, and he still hadn't changed his hairstyle. The same long black hair, pulled back into a low ponytail. He was wearing a black shirt that accentuated his toned physique. A few buttons undone at the top revealed a medallion in the shape of the Uchiha clan crest, and slightly worn black jeans. And he's still just as handsome, damn it. Somehow forcing myself to look away from them, I stared at the cup of tea. You guys are late today, the woman said, standing up and heading towards her sons. Yes, that idiot Sasori, lost count, answered Itachi. Sasori? Namesake what? And then the younger Uchiha's gaze fell on me. Damn it. I hope they don't find out. I hope they don't find out. I kept repeating to myself. I need to dye my hair pink immediately. Not many people have pink hair. Sasuke smiled slyly, looking me over. What a bastard. Oh, I forgot to tell you. Meet Sakura. She's our family doctor. Mikoto introduced me to my sons. I shuddered and quickly stood up. Now Itachi was staring at me too. He started examining me, just like his younger brother. Hello. I forced a smile and bowed in greeting. Damn, I needed to change my name. And my last name. And my country of residence. And my gender. Isn't she too young to be a doctor? Itachi asked with a grin. It's no problem. Mikoto waved it off. Itachi didn't respond, continuing to devour me with his insolent gaze. I won't give up. I won't love you anymore, Uchiha. Mikoto asked Hinata to bring everyone some tea. I even felt a little awkward that she was treating me like a guest. She said that I was not a servant, but a doctor, and that I would be like a member of the Uchiha family. It's stupid, of course, but still. Sasuke sat across from me, staring at me. Exo. Little bastard. We're the same age, but he's a month younger. Itachi sat next to his brother, writing something on his laptop. Sakura-san, where are you from? Sasuke asked. Hinata, who was serving tea, almost spilled the drink on Itachi. Me? I'm from Tokyo. I lied, taking a sip of tea. If I said I was from Konoha, they'd definitely understand. I see, he said, taking a sip. Then Mikoto got a call and excused herself. I was still staring at my teacup. Hinata nudged me as she passed. I got the hint. Do you work? Or study? I asked. I work and study part-time, the brunette replied. His brother was still sitting, glued to his laptop. I see, was all I answered, sipping tea. Have we met before? You remind me of someone very much. After Sasuke's question, I almost choked on my tea, and Hina dropped the cloth from her hands. This time, Itachi turned his attention to us too. Sasuke stood up and patted me on the back. Thank you, I croaked. Damn it, what could I think of? I doubt we've met before. I've only been in this city for a week, I replied. Itachi shook his head and stared at his laptop again. But still, you remind me terribly of someone. Sasuke began again. What a persistent turkey. What can I say this time? Guys, your dad called me. He and I are leaving today for a few days. I've already packed my things and I'm leaving in 20 minutes. Mikoto thankfully interrupted our conversation. Again? Asked the elder Uchiha without looking up from his work. Yes. Work. The woman shrugged and went upstairs. Cool, Sasuke exclaimed happily. We're having another party tonight, he said, starting to call his friends. I watched the guy with my mouth open in shock. The last thing we need is, they won't let us sleep tonight. I looked at my sister. She just shrugged. She's gotten used to it, poor thing. You're both invited too. Itachi's voice reached us. Could he really talk? Wow. We stared at him questioningly. He shrugged and started typing again. Then Mikoto came out with a suitcase. Okay then. I'm going. The woman smiled and, having kissed her sons, headed for the exit. Sakura, Hinata, please keep an eye on the boys. I understand it's not your responsibility, but I'll pay, the brunette said. We nodded, and the woman left. Itachi's POV. This new doctor. I recognized her right away. Sakura Haruno. You've changed. I didn't think you were so beautiful. I was still sitting at my laptop, writing a report. Sakura was chatting with Hinata about something. As I recall, they are related. I kept glancing at the pink-haired girl. For a long time, I couldn't forget what Karen had planned back then, and I, a fool, agreed. I felt very sorry for the girl, and I wanted to apologize to her. But the next day, she didn't come to school. And a week later, I found out that she had left. Of course, I didn't immediately understand why. But when they told me that this girl loved me, I understood everything. I broke her heart. She was different. She didn't shout my name every time we saw each other. She didn't cling. She didn't throw herself at me. She's different. I need to talk to her, ask for forgiveness. But I'm not sure she will forgive. But nothing hurts to try. So, the people will gather at 9. It's 6 o'clock. We have 3 hours to get ready, Sasuke said, looking at his watch. Who's up for drinks? I'll go, but I need a partner, I replied, putting my laptop aside. Sakura-san, will you come with me? I asked the girl. She flinched and stared at me. Let's go, I stood up, and taking the girl by the hand, pulled her towards the exit. Could you make it easier, Itachi-san? She squeaked when we left the house. Sorry, I said, and let go of the girl. She started rubbing her wrists. Damn, I must have squeezed her hand too hard. I pressed the alarm, and the car beeped. Let's go, I said, and got into the car. She stood there for a bit, but then, sighing heavily, she got in. We rode in silence. I wanted to talk to her about everything, to apologize, but I didn't know where to start. She wasn't eager to talk either. Haruno? Why are you silent? I asked, not taking my eyes off the road. She flinched and slowly turned her face in my direction. Her eyes were the size of saucers. So she thought I didn't recognize her. You've got something mixed up, she replied, and again stared out the window. Sakura, don't be silly. I recognized you right away, I said, stopping the car near the store. She stared out the window. I was looking for you then, I said quietly. Why? She asked, still looking out the window. I wanted to apologize. I was against Karen's idea from the very beginning. But I don't know what came over me. I don't know, I answered her. I see, she said. Sakura, forgive me. For the first time in my life, I asked forgiveness from someone. I forgave, she answered quietly. I can't see it. What should I do to make you forgive me? I hope she doesn't ask me to be her boyfriend, or worse, ask to be her wife. She looked at me for the first time that evening, and then she smiled slyly. I don't like this. Hinata's POV. I hope Sakura is doing well. Why did Itachi decide to take her? Maybe he liked her? Anything is possible. Now I was sitting in the hall, and Sasuke was walking around the room, calling his friends. Itachi and Sakura haven't been here for a while, he said. And indeed, I was so lost in myself that I didn't notice that the guys had been gone for 2 hours. Sasuke-kun, maybe I should call them? I asked in a quiet voice. I called. No answer, he said. Strange. I hope nothing bad happened. Just as I was thinking this, the door to the house opened, and a very pleased Sakura and a very disheveled Itachi walked in. Sasuke burst into loud laughter at the sight of his pale, disheveled brother. What happened? I don't understand anything. Itachi silently walked into the house and placed the bags of drinks on the table. What happened, Itachi? Sasuke asked through laughter. I'm not going with her anymore, he said after a short pause. Sasuke laughed even harder. Sakura laughed too. Okay, I didn't get it. Sakura's POV. So? You recognize me after all. And now you're even asking for forgiveness. What is the world coming to? Uchiha, you're changing. You're asking what? Fine. Give me the car, I'll take us home, I asked with a sly smile. He blinked in surprise. But you don't have a license. The guy tried to get out of it. What's this? I took my license out of my purse. It doesn't matter, he said. Okay then, I muttered resentfully and turned away to the window. Okay then, get in. The guy gave in. I got out of the car with a victorious smile and sat in the driver's seat. He has a cool car, an Audi R8. Let's see how far it can go on the highway. I slowly pulled out onto the road. Because it wasn't very wide, I couldn't drive fast. And now the car was moving just a little faster than a snail. Itachi glanced cautiously back and forth between the road and me. And I was afraid you drive like a turtle, Uchiha said when we had just pulled onto the highway. You shouldn't have said that, Uchiha. I smiled sarcastically and slowly pressed the gas pedal. The car began to smoothly pick up speed, deftly overtaking oncoming cars. Itachi shrank into the passenger seat and looked at the road in shock. His face gradually took on a marbled hue. One could only laugh at his expression. The Audi's speed increased, and Uchiha's condition worsened. Although he was silent, you could tell from his eyes that he was scared. The speedometer showed 150 kilometers per hour. Soon a familiar street and a familiar house appeared. I didn't slow down. Haruno! The brunette howled, probably understanding my intentions. With a sly smile, I slammed on the brakes, and the car, turning 180 degrees, parked near the house. "Thanks for the ride, Itachi-san." I thanked the guy and left. The guy himself followed me out, or rather, crawled out, with his bag slung over his shoulder. I walked happily, pleased with myself, toward the Uchiha house, the brunette trailing behind me. His pale face and disheveled black hair made me burst into laughter, but I held back. "Do you think I forgave you? Don't even dream about it. I'll remember what you did for the rest of my life. You can't imagine how bad I felt. I'll make fun of you some more." Uchiha. Opening the door, I walked into the house. Uchiha followed me, dragging his burden. Hinata and Sasuke were in the house. Seeing his older brother's state, Sasuke burst into loud laughter. Zero emotion from the older brother. "What happened?" Hinata asked, surprised. Sasuke couldn't calm down. "Nothing like that. I just gave it a ride," I said without any emotion. "Nani?" Hinata began to stutter, since she knew my passion firsthand. "I won't go with her anymore," Itachi finally said, putting the bags on the table and sitting down on the sofa. "Itachi, you better go get yourself cleaned up, or soon guests will be arriving. And when they see you, they'll say a homeless person has broken into our house." "Itachi, don't embarrass me." The younger Uchiha was still laughing. "Stupid little idiot," Itachi said and headed to his room. Literally a few minutes later, the first guests arrived. As I understood it, they were Sasuke's friends. Hinata and I felt uncomfortable in such company and were eager to leave. When I asked if we could leave, Sasuke categorically said no. "Are they kidding me?" flashed through my head. More than anything, I wanted to give up and go to bed. Hina shared my opinion. The brunette, not used to staying up late, was literally falling off her feet. Then the doorbell rang again, and Hina trudged to answer it. Two girls walked into the house. One was a blonde with a high ponytail, and the other was a redhead with glasses. I recognized them right away. Karen and Ino. So they're still in touch? Although, that's not surprising. And I wouldn't be surprised if they're still together. Hinata sat down next to him again, looking at the dancing girls. "Hey, cutie, why aren't you dancing?" A blonde guy approached us. You could tell right away he was drunk. Firstly, his demeanor, and secondly, you could smell him from a mile away. "I don't really have much desire," I answered, crossing my arms over my chest. "You're beautiful. Let's get to know each other better," said the blonde man, and moved closer to me. "Come closer, you say? Well, let's go," I said with a sly smile as I headed toward the bathroom. The blonde followed me obediently. As we approached the door, he pulled me tightly against him. "Let's start right now," he said, stroking my thigh through my skirt. "Okay." I smiled slyly and forcefully pushed the insolent guy away. Then, kicking him into the bathroom, I closed the door. "You're a young pervert," I said, rubbing my palms. "One drunk down. Who's next?" I muttered, sitting down next to Hinata. She giggled. "Let's get a drink or something." "Why are we sitting here like wild animals?" the brunette suggested. To say I wasn't surprised would be an understatement. This girl amazes me more and more. But I agreed anyway. "Oh, I'll get drunk and punch some chick in the face again," I thought, taking a sip of wine. When I'm drunk, I'm always looking for trouble, but I hope I won't get into any today. An hour passed. Something incredible was happening in the Uchiha house. A drunken crowd of young people were dancing some strange dance routine. Half of them were lying on the floor. Hina and I, already quite drunk, were still sitting on the couch. In that hour, I'd already rejected 3 perverts, and now all 3 were sitting in the bathroom. Excellent, I couldn't think of anything better. "Saku, let's go dance or something. I'm so tired of sitting around," said a drunk Hinata. I stared at my sister in surprise. But realizing no one was dancing, I agreed. We walked to the center, and started moving to the rhythmic music. Hinata moved somewhat hesitantly, but I did the opposite. My movements were fast, rhythmic, and sexy. Most of the guys' mouths dropped open. The Uchihas, as far as I could tell, were currently sitting on the couch with some girls. I recognized one of them as Karen, the red-haired bitch. I hate her. I'll get revenge on you too, you red-haired, bespectacled shrew. Then I felt someone press against me from behind, wrapping their arms around my waist. I didn't pay any attention because I was drunk. If I'd been sober, that insolent fellow would have been lying headless in a ditch by now. He pressed himself ever closer, raising his hands to my chest. This was beyond impudence. I turned to face the stranger and was taken aback. This insolent fellow turned out to be none other than Sasuke Uchiha. His audacity made my eyes widen. He's probably decided to lose his reproductive organ. Well, I'll be happy to help him with that. Grabbing him by the very spot, I led the guy towards the bathroom. He squealed in pain. A real treat for my ears. And if it had been his brother squealing, I probably would have died of happiness. Having locked the youngest Uchiha in the bathroom, along with 3 others like him, I returned to Hinata, who was being pestered by some guy. What kind of day is this today? I decided to help my sister out. Coming closer, I said in a sweet voice, "Hey, handsome. Want to get to know me better?" I smiled coquettishly and beckoned him with my finger. The guy practically drooled at the sight of me. I slowly headed towards my now favorite bathroom, not forgetting to beckon him with my finger. He followed me like an obedient slave. And now we were at the door. I pulled him closer by the back of his head and whispered in his ear, "Freshen up, handsome," and kicked him to his friends. Thank you very much. Hinata thanked me when I returned to her. No problem, just ask. I winked at the brunette. We poured ourselves more wine and went back to dancing. Then I caught Karen's gaze, sitting lordly on Itachi's lap. But you couldn't tell from his face that he was pleased, quite the opposite, in fact. She whispered something to the brunette, but he stared at me. And then, as if perhaps answering her question, he shook his head in denial. Don't be silent. Itachi's POV. And who the hell invited the bespectacled otter? Sasuke must have had something to do with it. He knows how I feel about her. Even though we broke up right after that incident with Sakura, she's been trying to get me back all these years. Itachi, that girl over there reminds me a lot of Naruto, don't you think? The redhead whispered in my ear. I looked at the pink-haired girl, and she was looking at me. She must have recognized Karen. I shook my head. She doesn't need to know that this is Sakura. If she finds out, I don't know what she'll do. I'll go and meet her, she said, and got up from my lap. I wanted to stop her, but she quickly moved towards the girls. Sakura's POV. Well, no way. This otter is coming towards us. What should we do? God forbid she finds out. Hi. I haven't seen you before, but you remind me of someone terribly. I'm Karen. The redhead extended her hand to me. Okay, I need to lie about something quickly. I glanced at Uchiha. He was watching all of this from the couch. Corey, I lied, holding out my hand. As much as I hated it, I had to do it. She looked at me suspiciously. She probably didn't believe me. Really? I see, she said. I think your name is Sakura. Damn, I guessed it. My eyes widened. I need to get out of here quickly. You're mistaken, I said, standing up. I caught Hinata's worried gaze. I headed toward my room, but then I felt someone grab my arm. I recognized you right away, big-headed one. Even if you were a brunette, I'd recognize your face in 1,000, she hissed, squeezing my wrist. Let me go, Red Otter. I growled and pulled my hand away. How dare you? She growled and slapped me. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Itachi stand up and take a few steps towards us. Oh, you creature, I hissed and punched her in the jaw. She fell to the floor, and I wanted to hit her again. You'll pay for everything, bitch, for all my tears. I sat on her and started hitting her in the face. But just as I was about to swing another blow, my hands were grabbed and I was pulled away from the red-haired woman. "Let me go." I struggled to get out of someone's hands. "Sakura, calm down," said a voice. I recognized that voice immediately. Itachi's. But I didn't want to listen to him and continued to struggle. When he got tired of holding me, he threw me over his shoulder and carried me towards my room. He came into my room and threw me onto the bed. I immediately calmed down when I saw his angry look. "Don't come out of here," he said, and wanted to leave. "Stop," I shouted and ran after the guy, grabbing his hand. He looked at me, his eyes flashing angrily. I even felt scared, but I didn't show it. "I won't let that creature treat me like that. I'm not the same little girl I was at school anymore. The one you love to bully. I won't let you behave like that," I screamed, squeezing the brunette's wrist. "Calm down. I'll be right back," he said and left. I howled and plopped down on the bed. Goodbye my job. I just got it, and because of this red-haired creature, I lost it, I thought. About 10 minutes later, my doorbell rang and Itachi came in. "Let's go," he said, standing near the door. I sighed heavily and, standing up, followed him. Imagine my surprise when I saw only Sasuke and Hinata in the living room. I didn't understand what was going on, but it really surprised me. I sat down next to Hina. She smiled strangely. "What happened? Where is everyone?" I didn't understand. "They left," she answered shortly. "Itachi-sen kicked them out." This is news. The star is in shock. "How?" "I'll tell you later." "Here, drink this. You need to calm down." Itachi handed me a glass of clear liquid. "What is this?" I was perplexed. "Drink." The brunette moved my hand closer. I sighed and obediently obeyed. The drink burned my throat. Sake. And indeed, it helped a little. Hinata's POV. This was a really bad idea, though. Sakura and I should have stayed in our rooms and kept a low profile. Some guys I didn't know kept coming at us. But thanks to Sakura, they're now sitting in the bathroom. Even Sasuke-kun is there. I hope she doesn't get fired after her outburst. I'll hope for the best. Sakura and I were sitting on the couch, watching the guests. Then I noticed that bespectacled bitch Karen stood up and headed our way. "Hi. I've never seen you before, but you remind me of someone. I'm Karen." The redhead extended her hand to Sakura. I noticed the girl tense up, but then, pulling herself together, she answered. Corey, she extended her hand. I see," Karen said. You could tell from her face that she didn't believe it. "I think your name is Sakura," she said. Sakura's eyes widened in surprise. "You're mistaken," she replied, standing up and wanting to leave. But then the bespectacled woman grabbed her hand. "I recognized you right away, big-headed one. Even if you were a brunette, I'd recognize your face in 1,000, she hissed, squeezing her wrist. "Let me go, Red Otter," she growled and pulled her hand away. "How dare you?" she hissed and slapped her. "Something's going to happen. You creature," Sakura hissed and punched her in the jaw. She fell to the floor. "You'll pay for everything, bitch, for all my tears." She sat on her and started slapping her face. I watched this scene in horror. Then I saw Itachi running up to the girls. He grabbed Sakura by the arms and pulled her away from Karen. Sakura started struggling and screaming at the man holding her. "Sakura, calm down," the guy said, but Sakura didn't seem to hear him and stubbornly continued to struggle. Itachi must have gotten tired of holding the kicking girl, so he threw her over his shoulder and dragged her up to the second floor. Ino helped Karen up and led her to the bathroom. When they opened the door, a group of guys emerged, no longer quite so drunk. I spotted Sasuke among them. "What happened?" he asked, probably seeing Karen's bloody face. "Where have you been, Sasuke?" "Something bad happened. The pink-haired girl really gave her a hard time," said a guy who approached the younger Uchiha. Sakura, he answered. I'd never seen anything like that. Damn. Do you know her? Introduce her, said the guy. Yes. She works for us. The brunette answered his question and left. Then Itachi came down from the second floor. To put it mildly, he was angry. Quickly, everyone, gather your things and get lost, he shouted from the stairs. Everyone looked at him in surprise. By that time, Karen had already left. And me too, Itachi, she whined. You first, he growled and went back upstairs. All the guests quickly got ready and left. The more lumps, the faster the sale. Sakura's POV. A few days passed. Oddly enough, they didn't fire me. I was still working for the Uchiha. Well, I guess I was working, sort of sitting around. I only help them when they're hungover. I was sitting on the couch in the living room now. Hinata was running around next to me, cleaning the house. The Uchihas were still at work, and Mikoto-san wouldn't be home for another 5 days. You could say I was dying of boredom right now. Despite everything, our relationships with the guys had become much warmer, especially with Sasuke. As for Itachi, I'm not really eager to talk to him. And the weirdest thing is, Sasuke still doesn't recognize me. Either he's an idiot, or he just didn't notice me at school. Most likely the second, since it's hard to believe that he's an idiot. Glancing at my watch, I realized it was already 8 o'clock. The Uchihas were running late, but that didn't bother me too much. The longer they were at work, the better and calmer I felt. They're taking a while, the brunette said, as if reading my thoughts. I didn't answer, just shrugged. And then we heard the sound of the door opening. As they say, remember the SHT and it will come out. The guys came into the house. After hanging up their coats, they came to us. Hello, girls, said the younger one, falling onto the sofa from fatigue. Itachi just mumbled something like hello and went to his place. How was your work day? Hinata asked him. As always, nothing new, he replied. It's Saturday, which means the Uchihas will be drinking again. Damn underage alcoholics. Hina, what's for dinner? The guy said. She answered and ran to serve her master some food. We were left alone. He sat silently sprawled on the sofa, his head thrown back. I inadvertently started looking at the guy. He's not bad either, he's cute. Why didn't I fall in love with him? It would probably be easier. Although who knows these Uchihas? At that moment, Hinata comes out of the kitchen. Mr. Sasuke, dinner is ready, said the sister. I will never call you Mr. Sasuke. Like that, it will work out somehow. Thank you, Hinata, he said and stood up. Hinata and I were alone again. Beautiful. I figured out what we're going to do today. Half an hour later, Sasuke runs out of the kitchen. And so? I asked without any interest. Let's drink, he said. And I thought that you would come up with something new, I said. The 4 of us will drink, he finished his thought. I stared at him as if he were mentally ill. What? The guy asked, seeing my look. Why? I asked. Because we need to get to know each other properly. Otherwise, we won't be able to talk normally with a noisy group, he replied. And Itachi-san won't be against it? Asked Hina. No, he's all for it. He said himself that the noise is annoying, he replied. I understand, I answered. And just as I said this, Itachi came down to the living room. Itachi, I have a proposal. Let's not invite anyone today, just the 4 of us, Sasuke said, approaching his brother. I don't mind. The long-haired man replied without any emotion and sat down on the sofa opposite me. He was wearing light jeans, a t-shirt, and an unbuttoned shirt. Who's going to the store? Sasuke asked. Let me. Itachi stood up and took the car keys. Sakura, let's go, he said, already heading for the exit. I stared at him with my mouth open in surprise, and Hina and Sasuke looked at me with the same expression. How much longer do I have to wait for you? Came from the street. His voice seemed to bring me to my senses, and I ran after the guy. Having shopped our fill, we headed back home. We'd exchanged only a few words the entire trip, and now we were driving home in silence. "Tell me about yourself," Itachi suddenly said, without taking his eyes off the road. I was very surprised that he was interested in my life. "Why do you need this?" "I just want to know who works for us," the guy answered. "Okay, fine. I'll be 20 soon, graduated from medical school with honors. I'm working for you now. My parents are gone. They died 3 years ago. I don't have many relatives either. One of them is the Hugo clan, but out of my whole family, the only one I speak to is your maid." "Hinata, your sister?" the guy asked. "Yeah, that's all I answered." "Sakura, where did you disappear to then? After that incident?" he asked, somewhat uncertainly. "I don't want to tell Itachi about this." "Sorry," he replied, and we continued driving in silence. When we got home, I got out of the car in the same silence and quickly headed into the house. Itachi followed behind. "Finally, I was almost thinking you'd abandoned us and were drinking without us," Sasuke said, taking the bags from his brother's hands. "It doesn't seem like it took that long," I said, sitting down on the sofa. "You were gone for an hour," Hinata said. Wow, I was genuinely surprised. "Okay, enough arguing. Sit down," Sasuke said. We all obediently obeyed. Hinata and I had a talk and decided to play a game. "Which one?" Itachi and I asked at the same time. A bottle he cheerfully brought to us. "What?" we shouted at the same time again. "What's wrong?" "We'll just get drunk and everything will be okay," Sasuke said. "What are we going to play for?" asked Itachi. "Well, let's make a wish." "I agree," the long-haired man said, to my surprise. All three of them stared at me. "Only desires on the edge of reason. And let's get drunk first," I agreed. Hinata squealed and hugged me. Itachi took over pouring the drinks while we waited for our drink to be served. Soon the 3 bottles were gone, and I felt drunk. I saw that Hinata was no better. Looking at the boys, I realized they were okay too. "Okay, time to play," Sasuke said drunkenly, taking an empty bottle and sitting down in the center of the room. We all sat down next to him. "I'm spinning," Sasuke said and started spinning. I watched the object's movement with excitement, hoping it wouldn't stop on me. This time I was lucky. The bottle stopped on Hinata. So what should I wish for? Sasuke thought. Oh, jump on one leg. Hinata's eyes widened. Much as she hated to embarrass herself, she still fulfilled her master's wish. It was quite funny, as she had poor balance. Sasuke and I burst out laughing, and Itachi smiled. "That's it. Now it's me," said the red Hinata, sitting down. The game turned out to be very exciting. We fulfilled wishes such as dancing like a gorilla, cleaning up bottles, kissing someone present, and so on. Now it's Itachi's turn to spin. His bottle never pointed at me the entire game, which made me happy. I watched the bottle's movement again, and when it stopped on me, I almost fell. I wonder what he'll wish for. To bring another bottle, or to go get some brine tomorrow. So what should I wish for you? The guy thought, looking at the ceiling. Kiss me for real. I actually fell from his desire. Sasuke whistled, hearing what his brother wished for. Are you kidding? I asked. No, I'm serious, the brunette answered with a calm expression on his face. I opened my mouth in shock. Come on, Sakura, Sasuke said, clapping me on the shoulder. Itachi stood up, not taking his eyes off me. I sighed heavily and stood up too. I hope he forgets this tomorrow. I walked closer to the guy, not knowing what to do. Yes, he's making fun of me. I ran my hand over his cheek, but the look in his eyes wasn't mine. He stood there, almost dumbfounded, looking at me. The room was completely silent. The guys were probably watching me. I rose up on my tiptoes and lightly touched his lips with mine. And then something happened that I didn't expect at all. He wrapped his arms around my waist and deepened the kiss. I was shocked, trying to push him away, but he held me tightly. What is he doing? What will he achieve by doing this? I was already absolutely out of breath, and I still had to answer him. His grip weakened, but the guy wasn't about to let me go yet. He took my hands, which were on his chest, and threw them around his neck. After that, he was able to hug me even tighter. New sale, as promised. I don't know how long the kiss lasted, but when his hands were on my butt, I heard Sasuke's voice. Ahem. Ahem. Don't get too carried away. You're not alone. We pulled away from each other as if scalded. I instantly blushed and sat down on the sofa, pouring sake. Itachi's cheeks were flushed too. And then the doorbell rang. We all looked at each other. Who's here at this time? Itachi said, and went to open the door. Sasuke and Hinata sat down next to me. I still couldn't get over that kiss. Who are you? We heard the voice of a surprised Itachi. You? Then it's clear who my friend works for, said the voice. My friend. Who could it be? And the voice was so familiar. But I couldn't figure out who it belonged to, since I wasn't quite sober yet. However, when curiosity got the better of me, I decided to see who was behind the door. Naruto? I was surprised to see a blonde guy on the threshold. Saku? So you work for them? My friend began. Calm down. Can he come in? I asked Itachi. He nodded, and I took Naruto by the hand and pulled him into the house. Sakura, explain? The blonde said when we entered my room. Naruto, they pay me well, so I can't quit my job, I explained. Naruto knew about the whole Itachi thing and was very supportive. We're like brother and sister, and that's why the blonde hated the Uchiha with all his heart. Have you forgiven him? He asked. No, I answered briefly. He didn't ask any more questions. We went downstairs. The guys were sitting on the sofas, slowly drinking wine. Itachi-san, can Naruto stay? It's getting late, I asked, blushing a little, still remembering the kiss. He nodded. Oh, booze, Naruto said cheerfully, and as if nothing had happened, he sat down next to Sasuke. No shame, no conscience, I said, rolling my eyes. Soon we were all drunk, and I didn't remember what happened. I woke up this morning with a terrible headache. I took a pill and went to the bathroom. After washing, I put on ripped jeans and a t-shirt. I let my hair down and went downstairs. The living room was in disarray. Several empty bottles lay scattered about. I spotted Itachi sleeping on one couch, clutching a bottle of sake. On the second couch, I spotted Sasuke and Naruto sleeping in an embrace. Yaoi? I laughed out loud at the sight. Itachi woke up immediately, falling off the couch. Sasuke and Naruto woke up soon after. But when they saw each other, they screamed like women. Hinata, frightened by the scream, came running, bat in hand. But upon seeing this, she began to laugh. What happened yesterday? Asked Naruto. You'll find out now, Hinata said suspiciously, and took out her cell phone. She turned on some video. Afterwards, I was able to make out what it was. It was from yesterday. There's Naruto and Itachi arguing over who can drink a bottle of sake first, and then I see myself sitting with Itachi, and we're hugging. This shot made Itachi and I widen our eyes. What was that? Was it Photoshop? I squeaked. No, watch this, Hinata said. Next, we see the boys betting that whoever loses will put on makeup and go shopping. Wow, this is getting interesting, Sasuke commented. And who lost? Asked Itachi. Look, said Hina. Then you could see the guys drinking, and at the end of the video, it was clearly visible that Naruto had won. What? How? Itachi was perplexed. Go paint your face, faggot, said Naruto, rejoicing at his victory. What? I never? The elder Uchiha howled. Go, you lost the bet, said Sasuke. Okay, but if anyone recognizes me, you're a shaggy corpse, He addressed Naruto. What did you call me, hemophobe? Naruto seethed. Itachi, without answering, went up to his room. Sakura, please give me your makeup. The guy from the second floor shouted shyly. I hurried to fulfill his request. Now the four of us are sitting in the living room, waiting for our princess. He's been gone for about 30 minutes. But then the door upstairs creaked, and Itachi's red, painted face appeared. We all burst into laughter. Idiots! God forbid you follow me, I'll kill you! He growled and left the house. No, that won't do, said Sasuke. You're right, get ready, I said, and we all followed Itachi. Sasuke, can I drive? I asked with puppy dog eyes. Yes, I'll just watch how you drive, Sasuke agreed. After waiting for Uchiha to disappear from sight, we quickly made our way to Sasuke's car. It was the same make as Itachi's, but a different model, an Audi Q7. I climbed into the driver's seat, and Sasuke sat next to me. Naruto and Hinata sat in the back. Better buckle up, said the red Hinata, buckling up. Why? Naruto didn't understand. Ask Itachi, I said with a devilish smile and sharply pressed the gas pedal. Oh God, Lord, have mercy on me. Don't take my sinful soul, the blonde screamed, gripping the car seat with a death grip. What if I gave you cars just one more time, and for nothing? Sasuke, sitting next to me, yelled. Hinata and I just laughed at the guy's reactions. Soon we spotted Itachi's car near some shopping center. I braked sharply and parked not far from the road, just in case. Due to the surprise, Sasuke was imprinted into the glass, and Naruto into the back of the chair. I told you to fasten your seatbelts, Hinata said in a didactic tone. Oh my nose, Sasuke squeaked, peeling his face away from the glass. Send Itachi out to look for him already, I said, getting out of the car. Everyone followed me out. Sasuke rubbed his nose the whole way. Maybe I should fix it for you, I suggested, flexing my fists. No, he squeaked, waving his arms. As you wish, it's my job to suggest, I said, shrugging my shoulders. We all headed to the store. About 10 minutes later, we found Itachi in a men's clothing store. The saleswoman, a young woman, looked strangely at the guy. He, with a red face, was examining the t-shirt. Here is our beauty, Naruto chuckled. Quiet, he'll notice us now. We'll be in trouble later, Ina whispered. Then Itachi put the thing back and headed for the exit. We went our separate ways. But on the way, Hinata bumped into Sasuke, and they fell. I tripped over them and fell too. And Naruto ran in circles, not knowing what to do, and muttered something. Then Itachi comes out and sees this scene. Sasuke and Hinata are lying on the floor. I'm lying on them, and Naruto is running around, moaning. We're finished, I squeaked, trying to get up. Here it is for sale. What the SCK are you bastards doing here? I'll fucking kill you all right now, Itachi yelled at the whole store when he saw us. I somehow managed to get up and ran towards the exit, screaming. Hinata and Sasuke couldn't get up because the floor was so slippery. And Naruto kept running. Mommy, save me! I'm gone now! Sasuke screamed, trying to get up. Now you're going to eat your shoe, you brat, Itachi yelled at his brother. Then they finally managed to get up and rushed after me. Along the way, they didn't forget to grab the crazy Naruto. It's more likely that you're a runt, Sasuke laughed. If I catch up with you, I'll do this to you. What? Will you SCK me? Naruto, who had just come to his senses, shouted. You first of all, he barked. Aw, help me. The faggots are coming, the blonde yelled, and now he was pulling the guys. I was the first to reach the car and started making hand signals for Sasuke to open the doors. Sasuke, open the car. We won't make it in time, Hinata shouted at the brunette. No, I'd rather let Itachi fuck me than have her send me to the next world. He didn't agree. That. Sasuke, your mother. I don't want to be fucked by your brother. Open up, Naruto yelled. The brunette finally gave in and opened the car. I quickly got in and started the engine. The boys were already running up too. A few meters away, an enraged Itachi was running. When the guys got into the car, I pulled away abruptly, just as Itachi was already standing next to the car. I looked in the mirror. Itachi was covered in dust from the car's sudden acceleration. Oh my god. Thank you for not taking my life. Naruto crawled out of the car and started kissing the ground near the house. Don't be picky, I walked past him, looking at his long nails. You're a demon, the blonde still hadn't calmed down. Thank you, I smiled and went to the house. Naruto howled. We went into the house. Sasuke went to take some valerian, and Naruto took 100 grams. And I sat down next to Hinata. You're such cowards. She's a better driver than all of you. She used to compete in races and often took first place, Hinata said. The boys were shocked. What kind of car do you have? Sasuke became interested. Mitsubishi Lancer, I answered calmly. Wow. Why don't I know? Naruto was surprised. My best friend, and you're hiding such details. You would have definitely smashed her car, Kino laughed. Why is this? Asked Sasuke. You should have seen how he drives, said the brunette. How? Give me your car for 20 minutes, and you'll see what condition the tow truck brings it to you in, I replied, and everyone except Naruto laughed. Okay. I'm going to the bathroom. I got up and went to the bathroom. Half an hour later, I washed up and wrapped myself in a towel as I walked out. 3 pairs of eyes immediately stared at me. What? I asked, raising an eyebrow. No, nothing, everyone answered. Then the screeching of brakes was heard from the street, and a minute later an enraged Itachi appeared on the threshold. We're finished, was the first thing that came to my mind. Itachi was unrecognizable. He was wearing makeup, his hair was disheveled, and he was covered in dust. And it was all because of me. That's it. Hold on, the guy growled, clenching his fists. Let's run. If we don't want to walk around with huge holes in our asses. Naruto shouted and took off. Everyone followed his example. Damn, he couldn't have come later. I could have at least gotten dressed, but now I'm in a towel, and only my panties underneath. Naruto ran around the couch, kicking his legs high and squealing loudly. Hinata and Sasuke climbed up, and I decided to crawl under the table. I'll catch up with you, Shaggy Ram. You won't know what hit you at that moment. He was chasing Naruto, who was yelling even louder. Just don't touch my ass, the blonde shouted and rushed to the second floor at the speed of light. I sat under the table, clutching a towel to myself. Itachi stood in the middle of the room, looking around. I hope he doesn't see me. I hope he doesn't see me. I kept repeating to myself. But as luck would have it, he looked in my direction and saw me sitting under the table. So you're in trouble, Sakura, he growled and moved towards me. Exo. I'm finished, flashed through my head. I wanted to get out on the other side and run away, but the guy managed to grab my leg. Let me go, Uchiha, I screamed, trying to free myself. It's because of you that I'm all covered in dust, he growled, trying to pull me out from under the table. Having said this, he tugged hard on my leg, and he managed to get me. As he hovered over me, what I had feared happened. The towel slid off me. I looked at him. He was in deep shock and staring at my chest. I instantly blushed, catching his gaze. Out of the corner of my eye, I noticed that my pants, just below my stomach, were bulging strangely. I understood what was going on, and even got scared. I don't know what was going on in his head. I noticed a blush on his cheeks too. He looked into my face. And then he kisses me passionately. I'm in shock. Are you crazy? I shouted, pushing the guy away sharply and pulling on the towel. Sorry, he said, and quickly ran to the bathroom. When he disappeared behind the door, I quickly went upstairs and got dressed. I put on a short denim skirt and a t-shirt. I dried my hair with a hairdryer and tied it into a low ponytail. When I went downstairs, I realized no one was there. As I sat down on the sofa, I heard Naruto's quiet voice. "Where's the psycho?" "In the bathroom," I answered calmly. "That's good. He's there for a long time," said the blonde man, and came out of his hiding place. Why did he do this? Maybe he wants me to fall in love with him again? You won't live to see Itachi again. "Calm down," my friend said, and sat down next to me on the sofa. "Uh-huh," was all I mumbled. About 10 minutes later, Hina came down, and about 5 minutes later, Sasuke. "Where is Itachi?" he asked. "In the bathroom, washing dust and makeup off his face," Naruto replied. "That's good. I just wonder why he calmed down so quickly." "Usually he stays angry for a long time," Sasuke said. "Sakura, you were here. What happened?" "Nothing. He didn't find me. He yelled and went to the bathroom," I said calmly, so as not to give myself away. I see," said Sasuke and went to the kitchen. "What are we going to do today?" my sister asked. I shrugged. "I'm not in the mood for fun right now." Sasuke returned later. "Sasuke, what are we going to do?" Naruto immediately jumped up to the brunette. He also shrugged. "Then let's drink." Naruto gave his verdict and, grabbing Sasuke by the hand, dragged him into the store. Another fun evening ahead. Then the bathroom door opened and Itachi came out, all wet and dissatisfied. Hinata tensed up, and I sat with my head down. "Calm down. I've forgiven you," he said briefly, and headed upstairs. I couldn't help but look after him. But he turned around at the wrong time, and our eyes met. No matter how much I wanted to, I couldn't look away. He was looking at me too. His black eyes were so captivating. Only now did I notice that he was wearing only sweatpants, and his wet hair was fluffed up. Somehow pulling myself together, I looked down. A minute later, we heard footsteps. He was gone. Hinata was sitting next to me all this time. Seeing my state, she asked, "What happened to you? And don't lie to me, it's written all over your faces." I had to tell her everything because I knew she wouldn't leave me alone. "This is passion," she said when I finished my story. "Listen, maybe he's just not indifferent to you." I choked on her verdict. "No, that can't be. It's more likely that he hasn't had that same thing in a long time. That's why it's sticking." I started to wriggle out of it. "What if?" She didn't calm down. "Hinata, that's it. Let's forget about it. I don't want to talk about him," I said loudly. Then we heard footsteps upstairs. "Itachi." I tensed. "Calm down," my sister whispers to me, seeing my condition. "I can't," I replied in the same way. Itachi walked past us into the kitchen. "Sakura, I'm going to go change." "Okay," Hina said, getting up from the couch. "Okay, just hurry up." She ran upstairs. I remained sitting alone, hoping Itachi wouldn't come out before Hina arrived. But my hopes were dashed. Literally 5 minutes later, a guy came out of the kitchen. He stood in the doorway for a moment, then moved on. I sat on pins and needles. After walking a short distance, he stopped again. "Sakura, forgive me. I don't know what came over me," he said in a guilty voice. "Wow, Uchiha, what have you come to? This is the second time in just a few days that you've asked for forgiveness. You never allowed yourself to do that before." I raised my head and looked at the guy. "It's okay, Itachi-san," I said and turned away again. "I can't see." The guy exhaled and walked over to sit down next to me. "Well, I'm sorry. Yes, I'm an idiot." He couldn't resist, he began. "Itachi, don't. Really, everything's fine." I smiled slightly, so the guy would leave me alone faster. "You really aren't offended?" It's true, I replied. "Of course I'm not offended. I just hate you, Uchiha." "Then prove it." "What else? Do you need to prove it?" "How?" "Well, if you don't mind, Come with me to buy groceries." His words left me in deep shock. I can't understand why he's so worried about this. "Okay, go get ready," I answered, and we went to our rooms. "Here it is, the sale." "Sorry it took so long. There were some minor problems." Itachi's POV. And really, what came over me? Why did I kiss her? And the strangest thing is, why do I want to do it again? I know she hasn't forgiven me, so I decided to invite her along. Lately, I don't recognize myself. I've never been so attracted to a girl. And why exactly did she somehow touch me so deeply? I can say one thing for sure: I like her. She's not like everyone else. She may have changed, but inside she's still the same girl who loved me. I wonder if she likes me now. I don't know. Maybe I should ask Hinata, she should know. Although no, then she'll tell Sakura I asked about her. I won't even ask Naruto. He doesn't really like me anyway. Okay, enough thinking about her, time to get ready. Putting on a shirt and black jeans, I went out into the living room. The pink-haired girl wasn't there yet. Yeah, now I still have to wait for her. To my surprise, the girl came out after 5 minutes. "Let's go," I said without any emotion. She nodded, and we left the house. 2 hours passed. Having bought everything, we were driving back. On the way, we stopped at a clothing store. I bought the girl a dress and told her that if she had forgiven me, she should accept my gift. She accepted it reluctantly. Entering the house, we were surprised by the silence that reigned there. We exchanged surprised glances. Since Naruto's arrival, silence has become a rare occurrence in this house. I'd put the groceries in the refrigerator when I heard a noise. It was coming from the second floor. I went out into the living room. Sakura looked fearfully between me and the stairs leading to the second floor. I understood what she wanted, and I headed towards the noise. On the stairs, I felt slender fingers clutching at my shirt. I grinned and continued on my way. The noise came from Sasuke's room. Sakura didn't let go of my shirt the whole way. Having opened the door to my brother's room, we fell into a stupor. Those 3 assholes, without us, were sitting on his bed and drinking. My eye even started twitching from shock. Sakura peeked out from behind me and, seeing this, opened her mouth slightly. "What a present," she squeaked. "Oh, Sakura and this one came," Naruto said drunkenly and, standing up, fell to the floor. "So, there are sober people on the horizon. Eliminate them immediately," Sasuke said, taking a bottle of sake from under his pillow. "Oh my god, it's like a madhouse in here," the medic said, looking at the 3 drunk people. Exactly, I agreed with her words. "Drink, sober people." Sasuke crawled up to us and gave us glasses of sake, and Hina brought snacks. Now I understand what I look like when I'm drunk. We took the glasses and drank, and soon there were 2 more drunk people. Sakura's POV. The morning greeted me with a terrible headache. After taking a pill, I went downstairs. Everyone was there except Itachi. "Good morning, drunkard," said Naruto. "Oh, look who's talking," I grimaced. And then Naruto asked the question that had become so annoying to everyone. "What are we going to do today?" We all shrugged. "Let's boo." We didn't let him finish, interrupting him with a short, "No." "I suggest we go to the club." A voice from somewhere above reached us. Looking up, I saw Itachi coming down. "That's a good idea. Otherwise, I'm always at home," Sasuke agreed. We all agreed too. Evening had come. I put on the dress Itachi had tied for me. It was a short black dress with a deep neckline. On my feet were sturdy heels. I let my pink hair down. "Is everyone here?" Itachi asked. Everyone nodded. "Well then, let's go." "I'm driving," I said quickly, catching up with the guy. "Okay, but only on the condition that you don't speed," said the brunette. I reluctantly agreed. Here we are already at the club. As we agreed, I didn't rush. Am I really alive? Naruto happily got out of the car. "Is this fast for you too?" I asked. No, everything is fine, Sasuke answered for him. Let's go already. What are you standing there for? Itachi said and headed towards the club. A little while later, we followed. Itachi walked ahead. I kept catching girls' interested glances at him. Some were making eyes at him, and some even approached him. I feel like I'm about to explode. It turns out I'm even jealous. You're an idiot, Haruno. They let us in without any problems, since they knew the guys here well. I'm going to the bar, Naruto said quickly when we just walked inside. I decided not to drink today. That's enough for now, otherwise I'll turn into an alcoholic. What are you drinking? Itachi, who was now standing nearby, asked. I just noticed that it was just him and me. Hinata and Sasuke had disappeared somewhere. I won't. Later, some other time, I replied, sitting down at the previously reserved table. I also decided not to drink today. We've been drinking every day since Naruto arrived, the long-haired man said. Hinata and Sasuke approached us, holding cocktails in their hands. Why don't you drink? Sasuke asked. And we gave up for today, I answered. Hina looked at her glass and said, I'll just drink this too, and that's enough. Half an hour passed. Hina didn't keep her promise, and is now dancing with some cute guy. I should probably pick someone up too. I'm practically alone here. I glanced at the older Uchiha sitting next to me. Sasuke had also picked someone up, and is now who knows where. The devil knows where he is. Naruto, however, never went more than 2 meters from the bar. I got up from the table and headed towards the back of the room. Where are you going? Itachi asked, noticing me. Oh, just like that. To dance, I replied and continued on my way. There were a lot of people. Moving through the crowd, I looked around for a cute guy. There were plenty of them, but almost all of them were already taken. Looking back, I noticed that some silicone slut had sat down next to Itachi. I grinned, my desire to pick up someone for the evening growing. I stood in the middle of the room and started moving. I closed my eyes and didn't look at anyone around me. I just didn't want to see Itachi, since my gaze kept finding him. What the hell? I hadn't danced alone for long when I felt someone's hands on my waist. The stranger was stroking my stomach through my dress and moving higher. I smiled and turned to face him. He was a handsome guy with red hair and black-rimmed eyes. He pulled me close, and we started dancing. What's your name? He said in my ear. Sakura. And you? I answered. Gaara. Very nice. Mutually. He's not doing anything, flashed through my mind. Then I saw Itachi, who had been watching me this whole time. Let's see what happens if I do this, I thought, pulling the guy towards me and kissing him passionately. He responded immediately and hugged me. And he's a great kisser. I hugged the guy around the neck, deepening the kiss. But then, I felt someone forcefully pull me away from the shocked guy. I didn't understand what was going on. But when I saw who had interrupted us, anger began to boil inside me. How dare he? He is no one to control my life. He held my wrist tightly and walked quickly through the crowd of dancing people towards the exit. Let me go right now, I growled, trying to free myself. In response, he only tugged my hand hard. I screamed and almost fell. It's still pretty hard to practically run in huge heels. After leaving the club, he continued walking quickly to the parking lot. What's he planning? Is he going to take me home and lock me up like a little child? What are you doing? I squealed, trying to stop. But realizing that at this rate I'd only break my legs, I kept going. We were at his car. He pressed the alarm and opened the door, forcing me inside. As soon as I was in the car, I tried to get out right away. But that bastard pressed the alarm again and the car locked. Then, when he approached the driver's door, he quickly opened it and went inside. I tried to run away again, but he only grabbed my elbow hard. I screamed. Meanwhile, he locked all the doors. What are you doing, idiot? I shouted, but there was silence in response. He started the car and pulled away abruptly. We were driving in an unknown direction. Houses, trees, and shops flashed by outside the window, but I still couldn't figure out where he was taking me. Then he turned right, and I noticed we were in a deserted area near a cliff. Nani? Is he going to throw me off? I panicked in my mind. He stopped abruptly. He was still angry. And why did he react like that? You want sex? Okay, now you'll get it. He growled and passionately bit my lips. What? What did he say? Is he out of his mind? He's drunk. I tried my best to turn away from his kisses, but it didn't work out well. Are you out of your mind? I growled, pushing the guy away. What? You were ready to give it to him. Why am I worse? He said, and pressed his lips to mine again. I was shocked by his words. Why does he care so much? Meanwhile, he was already kissing my neck. I'd be lying if I said I didn't like all of this. Of course, I'd often imagined myself and him in situations like this before, but I never thought it would ever happen. Then he grabbed me by the waist and pulled me onto him. My already short dress had ridden up and was now sitting at my waist. I blushed. It was good that it was dark and he wouldn't see anything. He returned to my lips again, but I still didn't respond to his kiss. His hands were on my bottom, squeezing it. Because of his caresses, I began to get excited, even though I didn't want it. Itachi, please stop, I moaned, throwing my head back as he began kissing my neck. I could feel his arousal through my crotch. Why? Stupid question. He's about to rape me, and he's even asking questions. Idiot. Then he pulled my dress down my shoulders, exposing my breasts. I blushed even more when I noticed him looking at them. I sighed heavily when he touched my breasts with his hand. Meanwhile, he was kissing my neck. As inappropriate as it is for me to say this, I want him now. And I can't hold back any longer. I lifted his face with my hands and captured his lips in a kiss. He was surprised, but he kissed me back anyway. I wrapped my arms around his neck, and he held me close by the waist. I want you, he whispers in my ear. I bit my lip and kissed the guy again. You have no idea how much I want you, Itachi, flashed through my mind. He probably took my kiss as a sign of consent and kissed me even more passionately. Here he took a small knife out of the glove compartment. Why does he need it? I was pretty scared. Then he cut my panties with this knife and threw them out the window. I'll buy you new ones later, he said, and kissed me again. I giggled through the kiss. Okay, I don't get it. Why am I practically naked, and he hasn't even unbuttoned his shirt? This needs to be addressed. My hands, slightly trembling with excitement, began to slowly unbutton his shirt. Having completed this ordeal, I tossed it onto the back seat. I looked at him. He has a great figure. No wonder almost all the girls are chasing him. I started kissing his neck. He threw his head back and moaned softly. This turned me on even more. I ran the tip of my tongue along the guy's neck. And then I felt the guy's fingers on my crotch. I screamed with excitement. He stuck 2 fingers inside me and began pumping them in and out. I bit my lip, barely holding back my moans. You're already all wet, he said quietly, removing his fingers. At first, I was even upset, but then I heard the sound of a fly opening. I tensed. Could this really be happening now? He looked at me and ran his hand over my cheek. I smiled tenderly at him, and he returned the smile. Wow, he smiled. I'd never seen him smile before. Do you want this? He asked. I didn't answer, just nodded. And then I felt his hot flesh on my crotch. He entered inside a little, and then, taking me by the waist, he sat me down completely on him. I screamed with pleasure, and my nails dug into the guy's hands. He winced in pain, but then began to help me with the movements. He entered slowly and smoothly, as if teasing me. I wanted more. Then I grabbed the back of the driver's seat and moved myself. It was a bit uncomfortable because of the steering wheel, but that didn't bother us much. He still helped me with the movements, but now faster and deeper. I moaned like crazy with pleasure. The guy moaned too. I tried not to look at the guy's face, as I was terribly embarrassed right now. He, on the other hand, didn't take his eyes off my face. "Sakura! Soon!" The guy moaned, starting to move even faster. I realized that he would soon come, and I was on the edge myself. And so it happened. We came at the same time. With a drawn-out groan, he came inside me. I fell exhausted onto the guy's chest. We both breathed heavily, trying to get our breathing under control. I sat on him, still hugging his neck and resting my head on his shoulder. He didn't take his hands off my waist either. "Damn you, Uchiha! I've fallen in love with you after all," flashed through my mind. Having recovered a bit, I climbed off the guy, adjusting my dress. He also zipped up his fly, but didn't put on his shirt. We were silent. I looked out the window, and he smoked. Now we both didn't know what to say at that moment. The perverted part. Oh my god, I'm so ashamed. Itachi's POV. Why did I do this? She'll definitely hate me now. She never loved me before. I ruined everything myself. I'm an idiot. Not knowing what to say, I stared blankly out the window and smoked. I felt good with her. I had never felt this way with any girl before. "Itachi, let's forget what happened between us," the girl said in a quiet voice, without taking her eyes off the window. "And if I don't want to?" I didn't expect these words from myself. The girl stared at me in surprise, raising her right eyebrow. "Why?" she asked. Now I'm at a loss. I don't know what to tell her. If I tell her the truth, she'll think I'm making fun of her. I remained silent like a fool, unable to find the right words. "Let's go home," the girl whispered, interrupting my thoughts. I didn't answer and started the engine. When we got home, Sakura got out of the car without saying anything and walked towards the house. I remained sitting in the car like an idiot, watching the girl leave. "Now she'll hate me even more," flashed through my head. I shouldn't have done that. After sitting in the car for a little while, I finally headed into the house. Sakura's POV. I can't believe what happened between us today. Do I regret it? No. But I can't just look him in the eyes now. I need to find a boyfriend ASAP, otherwise I'm slowly starting to go crazy. I was lying on the bed in my room. My head was a complete mess. My body still felt his caresses and hot kisses. "I'm not leaving the room anymore," I muttered and covered my head with the pillow. Then they started calling me. Reluctantly, I got up and started searching for my phone in my purse. Hinata called. "Yes," I said as confidently as possible. "Sakura, your mother. Where the hell are you?" A less sober voice rang out. "Okay, but this isn't Hina." "What the hell?" "Sasuke, why are you yelling?" "We're home," I said loudly. "How's it going at home? How do you think we'll get into the house now?" "Call your brother, he will come and pick you up." "Exactly. That I didn't realize right away." "Okay. Bye." What a jerk. You couldn't call Itachi right away, you had to bother me. Then it calls again. Hinata's number again. What else? I answered, not satisfied. "Saku, here's the deal. Hinata doesn't have Itachi's number, and my phone's dead. Could you tell him to come pick us up?" "Nani?" I squeaked. I didn't really want to see the guy right now. "Something's wrong?" "No. Everything is fine. I'll pass it on now." I squeaked again. "Okay then. Let's wait." Damn it. How out of time. I walked out of my room and stood in front of Itachi's door. I was terrified to go in, or rather embarrassed, but I wasn't going to let my friends down. After knocking, I opened the door slightly. "Itachi?" I said when I noticed he wasn't in the room, but I was wrong. He must have heard his name and came out of the bathroom. He was wearing only a towel, his black hair disheveled. I instantly blushed, looking at him. "What did you want?" His voice brought me to my senses. Sasuke called me. He asked me to pick them up from the club, I said after a short pause. Damn, he slapped himself on the forehead. We left so quickly that I forgot about them after his words. I blushed. Is he reminding me on purpose? Idiot. Sakura, take them. I just wanted to take a shower, he said, taking the car keys from the table and thrusting them into my hand. Our hands touched, and I blushed again. Damn it. Okay, I'll go, I squeaked and headed for the exit. But then the guy grabbed my hand and pulled me close. My eyes widened. What was he up to? He ran his hand over my cheek, all the while keeping his eyes on me. Itachi, I whispered, but the guy pressed his finger to my lips. And then he began to lean towards me, and soon his lips touched mine. To my surprise, I responded immediately, hugging him around the neck. He held me by the waist. Itachi, this is not right. Stop it, I whispered as the guy started peppering my neck with kisses. Why do you think so? There's nothing wrong with two people being attracted to each other, he said, starting to lift my dress. And believe me, I didn't even have time to change. I just put on my panties. Itachi, I moaned loudly and quickly led the guy to the bed. The next moment, he was already lying on it, and I sat on him and kissed him passionately. Soon he must have gotten tired of his position and deftly pushed me onto the bed and lay on top of me. And more kisses. He deftly removed my panties and laid down between them, first throwing off his towel. You drive me crazy, the guy whispers, kissing me. Did he say that? I'm shocked. I threw my legs over his hips, pressing the guy even closer to me. I felt him start to enter. I bit my lip. He entered me smoothly. I moaned, but the guy decided to tease me again and didn't move. Itachi, I moaned and kissed him passionately. It worked on him. He began to thrust slowly but deeply. I moaned loudly, scratching his back. Soon he started moving faster, and I was moaning like crazy. I feel like it's almost over. He moved faster and faster, and soon he stopped. Something warm spread inside me. The guy was lying on top of me, breathing heavily. I was in the same state. Soon he finally got off me and lay down next to me. And then I remembered. Oh damn, I said, quickly jumping out of bed. What happened? He asked, perplexed. I looked at him. He didn't even bother to cover himself. Sasuke, we forgot about him and the guys, I said, looking away from him. Exactly, he jumped up and began to get dressed. I'm with you. With me. Uchiha, are you sure you're okay? I left his room and went downstairs. Soon the guy himself came running. Let's go, he said, taking my hand. I was shocked by his behavior and followed the guy. We got into the car and quickly headed toward the club. There were tons of people, and we wondered how we were going to find them in such a crowd. Having parked the car, we made our way through the crowd. There was no one there. We walked around the club for about 20 minutes, but seeing no one, we headed back to the car. Maybe they're already home? I suggested. Most likely, Itachi replied, but I was wrong. Our group had found the car and were hanging out near it. But that wasn't the point. The thing was, they were completely drunk. Sasuke and Hinata were drunkenly chatting, leaning against the car, and Naruto was kissing the asphalt. My jaw slowly dropped at the sight. But then an idea occurred to me. Give me the keys, she said, holding out her hand to the guy with a sly smile. What are you thinking? Asked the guy, holding out the keys. You will see, I said and pressed the button. The machine beeped. From the great shock, Sasuke and Hinata plopped down on Naruto, who was already having sex with the asphalt. I burst out laughing. Are you completely nuts? I almost had a heart attack, Sasuke yelled, standing up. You should have seen your faces, I laughed. Where the hell have you been? Sasuke asked. I immediately stopped laughing, but I started blushing. It's none of your business. Let's go! Itachi saved the situation. The drive home was a joyful one. Sasuke and Hinata were laughing loudly, for no apparent reason, and Naruto was kissing the car window. People pointed at him and laughed at him at traffic lights. A little while later, we arrived home. After peeling a drunken Naruto off the glass, Itachi and Sasuke dragged him into the house. I helped the drunken Hinata get out. Naruto tried to break free the whole way, as if he'd been interrupted at the most crucial moment. With great difficulty, we separated the boys into their rooms, and then went our separate ways. I couldn't fall asleep for a long time. Memories of today kept creeping into my head. Then Naruto's moans joined those memories. Yeah, so what's he fucking this time? I hope it's not Itachi or Sasuke. Shut up, jerk! Let the people sleep. Sasuke's angry voice came from the hallway. So, that means he's not with Sasuke. So, a pillow and a blanket. I don't think Naruto even got it up for Itachi in this state, so I'm calm. Naruto barely reacted to Sasuke's scream, but instead began moaning even louder. The brunette howled and went to his room, slamming the door loudly. Half an hour later, the blonde man had calmed down somewhat. Now one could hear loud, but rare, moans. I somehow managed to fall asleep, and then another stroke of bad luck. I woke up in the middle of the night, hearing the door opening. At first, I thought I was dreaming, but I realized it was real when I heard quiet footsteps. I felt scared. Who knows who might have brought me here, and most importantly, why? Maybe it was Naruto, tired of just fucking inanimate objects? I lay on the bed, motionless and without opening my eyes. Meanwhile, the footsteps stopped near my bed. The next moment, the man sat down next to the bed, and his breath began to warm my face. He's so close. Holy shit, who is this? I need to open my eyes. I did just that. I slowly opened my eyes, and the next moment I shuddered and sat up in bed. Itachi? What the? I squeaked, looking at the night guest. Why are you so scared? Or am I that scary? The guy grinned and stood up. Wouldn't you be scared if someone came to you in the middle of the night and stared? I said. If it were a girl, then no. The guy grinned insolently again and sat on the edge of the bed. I only wrapped the blanket tighter around myself. You impudent pervert, I muttered. He didn't answer, continuing to look at me. What do you want? I finally asked, the question that had been tormenting me. He shrugged in response. My displeasure grew with each passing second. Who does he think he is? A damn idiot. I couldn't sleep, so I decided. I interrupted him and said, wake up other people too? Yeah, Uchiha. I don't see any people here, the brunette said, looking around. What? Oh, my hair stood on end with anger. Forgetting that I was currently wearing a translucent negligee, I grabbed a pillow and hit the guy with it. Feathers immediately appeared in his hair. I burst out laughing at the sight. Oh, so said the brunette, and the next moment he was pressing me to the bed. I looked at him, breathing heavily and smiling. It's not every day you see an Uchiha with feathers on his head. He, too, kept his eyes on my face. And then the menu dawned on me. Uchiha, could you get off me? I asked politely. I'm fine as is, he smiles now. Uchiha? I howled and started trying to throw the brunette off me. But it was all in vain. The brunette was pinning me to the bed with his whole body, gritting insolently. That's it. You win. Now get off me. I stopped resisting and looked at the guy. He shook his head in denial. Then I sighed heavily and turned my head to the side, staring at the wall. But then I felt wet lips on my neck. I shuddered and bit my lower lip. Itachi was already covering my neck with hot kisses. Yeah. Now it's clear why you came, I said, taking pride into my fist. That's not true, the guy replied, quickly leaving my neck alone. And then what does this all mean? I couldn't resist, the guy replies and finally gets off me. I reacted immediately and quickly pulled the blanket up. Itachi walked over to the window and began looking out. For a while, the room was silent. But soon the boy broke it. "Can I stay with you?" the guy asked hesitantly, still looking out the window. "Nani?" I squeaked, not believing my ears. "I won't pester you. I promise," the guy said and turned to me. "Why?" I asked. He shrugged again. "Okay, stay." I gave in. "Thank you," he said and came up to me. Itachi's POV. Why did I come? I'm completely confused. I wonder if I can resist such temptation tonight. In any case, I have to, I promised. Sakura moved to one edge of the bed and turned her back. "Lie down. What are you standing there for?" I heard the girl's voice. Then I took off my t-shirt and lay down next to her. We were lying back to back, and I really didn't like this arrangement. Then I turned around and hugged her around the waist, burying my face in her pink hair. I felt her tense up, but she didn't do anything. Her hair smelled like cherries. I'd never noticed it before, but I'm starting to like it. I wonder if she still has any feelings for me. Maybe I should ask her directly? That's exactly what I'll do. "Sakura? Can I ask you a question?" "Go ahead." I didn't know how to start. "Damn, Itachi. You're acting like a little boy." "Sakura, do you feel anything for me now?" A fit of animal laughter, the girl giggled. "Sakura, let's be serious. Do you like me?" I raised my voice. "Yes, I like you. Are you happy?" the pink-haired girl replied in kind. I smiled at my victory and turned the girl towards me. He ran his hand over her cheek and leaned closer, touching the girl's lips with his. Oddly enough, she answered me immediately and put her hands on my chest. "And what do you mean by that?" the girl asked, breaking off the kiss and raising an eyebrow. "That you're mine and no one else's," I replied, touching the girl's lips again. I hope she understands everything correctly. Breaking off the kiss, I laid down on the bed, pulling the girl down behind me. Her head rested on my chest, and I held her around the waist. I closed my eyes and soon drifted off to the world of Morphus. Sakura's POV. When I woke up in the morning, I felt like I wasn't alone. Looking up, I saw the sleeping face of a guy on whose chest I was sleeping. I smiled, remembering last night. "The fact that you are mine and no one else's." I played the guy's phrase in my head. If I understood correctly, I'm now his girlfriend. I don't believe it. I smiled and laid my head back on the guy's chest. I woke up about an hour later. I raised my head and looked at the guy. This time he wasn't asleep, but was looking at me with a smile. "Good morning," he said, touching my lips with a light kiss. So it wasn't a dream. "With good wishes," I answered. He looked at me without looking away, smiling with the corner of his lips. "What's wrong?" I asked, stretching. He shook his head, but didn't stop looking. "Stop looking at me," I muttered and covered my head with the blanket. In response, I heard the guy laugh, and the next moment, he started trying to get me out from under the blanket. "Sakura, don't act like a little child. Get out," he said through his laughter. I didn't react to his words in any way. "Okay," the guy said, and climbed under the blanket. I screamed when I realized my space had been invaded. "Itachi, stop." I laughed as the brunette started tickling me. I stuck my head out from under the blanket and began breathing heavily, as it wasn't very comfortable for me to do so under the blanket. Finally, Itachi said, and also climbed out. "That's not fair," I muttered. "It's okay," he said, turning my head towards him and kissing me tenderly. I responded immediately and hugged him around the neck. Chapter 13 A month passed. I was still working for the Uchiha. And most importantly, I was dating Itachi. Hinata was incredibly happy for me, but she still worried about me. Naruto threw a fit when he found out Itachi and I were dating. What can I say? He still teases him all the time. I also started catching the younger Uchiha staring at me often, but he immediately looked away when our eyes met. I don't know what's causing this behavior. POV Sasuke. I was sitting in my room, looking at our family photos. My brother and I had always gotten along well, but now everything had changed. And it was all because of my brother's girlfriend. I admit I'm a fool, because I didn't immediately recognize this attractive girl as my old classmate, Sakura Haruno. I should have guessed right away because I'd never seen her with pink hair before, although hers used to only be shoulder length. Now it reaches almost to her waist. I realized I like her. I really like her. But I can't betray my brother, so I have to watch him kiss her. After putting the photo album back, I decided to go out and make myself some coffee. I didn't want to ask Hinata. She'd immediately notice my strange behavior. Putting on a plaid shirt over a white t-shirt, I went downstairs. Naruto was sitting in the living room with Hinata, who was dusting and blushing furiously. I remember she liked him for a long time. It's strange how someone could like such a moron with his character and behavior. Now the blonde was watching TV and eating something from a pot. Wait, from a pot? Naruto, wouldn't it be easier to pour it into a small bowl and eat it? I asked, putting my hands on my hips. He looked at me like I was an idiot and continued eating, although he does look like an idiot now. I sighed and went into the kitchen. After making coffee, I headed back. While I was in the kitchen, the doves came down. Jealousy woke up in me again. "Oh, hello, little silly brother," Itachi greeted, ruffling my hair. "Go away, you stupid older idiot," I said, shrugging off his hand and heading upstairs. Finally, I glanced at Sakura, who was looking at me, not understanding anything. Sakura's POV/. I watched the brunette leave. He was strange. Very strange indeed. Another month passed. Everything was the same as then. Only Sasuke was even less present. Now Hinata and I were sitting in the living room watching TV. Itachi was at his bachelor party, and Sasuke was off somewhere. Naruto should be here soon. He'd been renting his own place for a month now. And all of this made us incredibly happy. Now we could sit in the house in silence, instead of listening to stupid jokes and teasing about Itachi. Today, my sister and I agreed that she would definitely talk to Naruto. She resisted for a long time, of course, but I still won. Now she was sitting on pins and needles, trembling slightly. "Calm down. You're not inviting him to bed," I tried to reassure the brunette. My reassurance made her blush. Then we heard the sound of the door opening. So Naruto doesn't have the keys. So it's either Sasuke or Itachi. And when this someone snapped, I almost fainted. Sasuke stood in the doorway. His shirt was torn and bloody. His lip was also split. I got up from the sofa as if scalded and ran up to the guy. Hinata rushed for the first aid kit. "Oh my God, Sasuke! What happened?" I asked worriedly, looking at the guy. "It's none of your business," the brunette responded rudely, shrugging off my hand and walking on. I didn't understand how he addressed me like that. "Stop right there. You need to work on this." I caught the guy by the hand as he was about to go to the kitchen. "Go away," he said in the same way. Then I noticed that he smelled of alcohol. "Yes, you're drunk," I exclaimed. I guessed. The guy grimaced and pulled his hand away. "Sasuke!" I exclaimed when he had already entered the kitchen. Then Hinata brought me the first aid kit, and I, determined to help the boy, went into the kitchen. He was sitting at the table and drinking sake. What the hell? I didn't get it. "Come on, give it back!" I barked, taking the drink from the guy's hands. "What the?" The brunette started to boil. "Itachi will come now. You will not know what to do." "Itachi. This Itachi again. You're all really getting on my nerves with your Itachi," the guy growled, standing up abruptly and walking past me. He accidentally bumped into me with his shoulder, and I almost fell. "Idiot," I muttered when the guy came out of the kitchen. "Why is he so upset?" Hinata shrugged, and we followed him out. He was already gone, probably gone back to his room. I decided not to disturb him for now, let him get some sleep first. He's a minor alcoholic. Half an hour passed. Naruto had already arrived, and Sasuke was still sitting in the room, probably asleep. Hinata was sitting next to Naruto, all blushing. And the blonde, in turn, was eating from the pot again. Yeah, how could you love such a slob? Where is Sasuke? Naruto finally asked. He's sitting in the room, I replied. By the way, I'll go check on him. And you have fun. I winked at my sister, to which she instantly turned even redder. I went upstairs to Sasuke's room. It was quiet inside. Sasuke? I said, opening the door slightly. What do you want? The guy answered just as rudely, but his voice was more sober. What happened? I went into his room. He was lying on the bed, staring at the ceiling, and he was wearing only jeans. I already thought I told you that this doesn't concern you, he said, turning his back. I clenched my fists. This guy's behavior was clearly infuriating me. He was either constantly silent or snapping back. Why are you behaving like this towards me? As far as I remember, I've never done anything bad to you, I said, raising my voice. And it doesn't concern you either, he replied shortly. It seemed like my hair stood on end with anger. And truly, he was a stupid little idiot. I suddenly jumped up from my seat and turned the guy onto his back, sitting on top of him. I won't let you talk to me like that. You're no one to me to snap at me. I used to think we were friends, but later I realized I was wrong. You're as selfish as Uchiha was back in school. I practically screamed, pinning the guy's arms to the bed. The guy himself looked at me with wide eyes. Now quickly explain your behavior? I've already told you everything, the guy said calmly and turned away. Uchiha, I said through my teeth. I wonder what my brother would think if he saw us now, he said, without turning his head in my direction. And then it dawned on me. I was still sitting on him, pinning his arms. Blushing, I quickly jumped up from him and left the room. Angry and red-faced, I was heading downstairs. And then I saw this. Naruto and Hinata were sitting on the couch, kissing. Star was shocked. I definitely didn't expect this. I coughed to get the couple's attention. My cough worked quickly. Hinata, as if scalded by boiling water, pulled away from the guy and immediately blushed. And here we are, the blonde said stupidly, and scratched the back of his head. I see, I said with a sly smile. It seems I'm at the wrong time. I decided to go to my room so as not to disturb people and to build my personal life. Chapter 14 When I woke up in the morning, I realized I wasn't alone in bed. I turned my head and saw Itachi sleeping. I didn't even feel him come. I quietly got up and headed to the shower. After finishing my chores, I headed to the kitchen. Naruto and Hinata were sitting there, hugging each other. So it wasn't a dream. Hello, lovebirds, I said with a smile. Sakura? The sister said, stuttering and blushing. No fucking way. Sergei Zverev. I rolled my eyes and sat down at the table. What are we going to do today? Asked the blonde man, who was tenderly hugging the brunette. I don't know. Maybe we should go to a club? I suggested. Good idea, Naruto agreed. I can't today, so you go, came a voice from the second floor. We turned our heads and saw Itachi. Why? Naruto asked. Business, he answered briefly, and coming up to us, he hugged me. I wonder if Sasuke-kun will go, Hinata said. I immediately remembered his behavior yesterday. I don't think so, I answered. Well, screw it. You'll be the only ones left, Itachi said, and kissed me on the forehead. As we expected, Sasuke left the house later that evening. Even before he left, he looked at me as if I owed him a ruble. Ah, the three of us will have to go. It won't be boring for the two of us, but for me. We were just taking a taxi to my house because I decided to show off my car to the world. I was wearing a light dress with a full skirt and high heels. Wait, I'll be quick, I said as we got out of the taxi. I ran in heels to the garage. My baby, I said, opening the garage, I missed you so much. I was ready to kiss her, but I refrained. Yeah, I should probably go to the car wash. It's a white car, and it's all covered in dust. That won't do. They'll say it's just a bunch of homeless people driving a Lancer. I got into the car and drove off. The guys were waiting for me near the house. As I drove closer, I honked the horn. Naruto's jaw hit the pavement with a thud. What a car! Why did you hide it? The blonde man said as he got into the car. Just from you, I answered as if nothing had happened. She's called a girlfriend, the guy mumbled offendedly. Come on, don't be offended. It's just that I know how you drive, and you know how much money I spent on it. On tuning, on wheels, and on other components, I said through laughter. Okay then. Let me take it for a spin, grinning from ear to ear again. No! Hinata and I barked at the same time. I understand, but I don't know why she does. The guy pouted, but didn't say anything else. And when we were already approaching the club, it dawned on me. What a loser I am. I forgot my passport at home. You go to the club and I'll come later, I said, and stopped near the club. Okay then, the guys said, hugging each other and heading to the club. And I headed back. Soon I was at the Uchiha's house. I quickly got out and ran towards the house. It's strange, the house isn't locked. No one was there. I slowly walked into the house, listening to every noise. All was quiet on the first floor, so I headed upstairs. There, a muffled female moan reached my ears. Sasuke must have brought some slut, flashed through my mind. But how wrong I was. Moans were coming from Itachi's room. My heart sank. It couldn't be. I slowly walked toward the moans. Unfortunately, the door to my boyfriend's room was open, and I could see everything clearly. There on the table, Itachi was fucking a redhead. I immediately recognized her as that bitch, Karen. Tears immediately started flowing from my eyes. How could I have been so wrong? I could have guessed it was another cruel scam. But I won't let them hurt me again. I'll leave myself. I quietly left my ex-boyfriend's room, wiping away tears along the way. After grabbing my passport, I headed to the club. I cried the whole way, unable to believe the betrayal of my loved one. Wiping away my tears, I got out of the car and walked confidently toward the club. I'll definitely get drunk today. At least the alcohol will take away my pain for a while. Entering the club, I headed to the bar. I should at least find Narek and Hina. Although I'll order first and then go looking. After ordering a bottle of sake, I went in search of my friends. I found them kissing at a table. Ahem, I started to attract attention. They immediately separated from each other and looked at me. Oh, you're already here. You're quick, said Naruto. I nodded and sat down next to him. I poured myself some sake and drank it down, then more and more. And soon I was drunk. The guys watched in shock as I quickly emptied the bottle. Sakura, what happened? Asked the worried brunette. Everything's great. I'll go dance, I said, and staggered toward the dancing crowd. I stood in the center of the room and began to move to the rhythm of the music. My head was buzzing from the sake I drunk. I closed my eyes and moved to the music. But soon a stranger pressed me against him. He reeked of alcohol, even though I was drunk myself. I started trying to break free from his grasp. But due to my condition, it was impossible. Meanwhile, the guy turned me around to face him. I stared at him in shock. It was Sasori. Hi, baby. Long time no see, the guy said drunkenly, and started lifting my dress with his hand. Let go of the runt, I snapped, pushing the guy away. He was already kissing my neck at that moment. Will I really be raped now? And no one will even help me? And just as I thought this, I was forcefully pulled away from the redhead. He got punched in the jaw. Sasori fell, and my savior was now holding me tenderly. The stress of the experience made me press myself closer to the guy. I stood there, hugging the stranger for about 5 minutes. He held me tightly, as if trying to protect me from everyone. And then I wanted to look at my savior. Looking up, my eyes widened in surprise. Sasuke? Shh, everything's fine, the guy replied. After his words, I snuggled closer to him again. I feel calmer in his arms. Thank you, I said, looking at the brunette again. He was smiling. And then I had a huge desire to kiss him. I did just that. Putting my arms around his neck, I touched his lips. I even thought he flinched from my touch. But he quickly came to his senses and responded. Chapter 15 We were standing in the middle of the room, kissing passionately. Then I felt something hard on my thigh. I realized he was aroused. Knowing he wanted me made me aroused too. It's hard for me to say, but I want him. So what? I'm single. With these thoughts in mind, I took the guy by the hand and led him toward the restrooms. Entering a free stall, I pinned the guy against the wall and kissed him passionately. He responded immediately, pulling me close. I started unbuttoning his shirt, and soon I had it off. Then the guy himself pressed me against the wall, lifting me by my buttocks. I wrapped my legs around his hips. Sasuke began kissing my neck, and with one hand, he unzipped my dress. Once he unzipped it, he pulled the dress down my shoulders to my waist, exposing my breasts. I moaned loudly when he touched my nipple with his tongue. Sasuke, MMM. Yes, I moaned, scratching the guy's back with my nails. I lowered my feet to the floor and began stroking his cock through his jeans with my hand. He groaned. This turned me on, and I began unzipping his jeans. Sakura, the guy moaned when I touched his dignity with my hand. He is more than his brother, flashed through my head. Then the guy started to take off my panties, and soon he took them off. I was burning with excitement. I wanted him. I really wanted him. I sat him down on the toilet and sat on top of him, kissing him. I found his penis with my hand and began to slowly insert it into me. But I was so excited I couldn't do it. And then the guy took the initiative. Although his hands were shaking too, he succeeded where I hadn't. I screamed when the guy suddenly entered me completely. He began to move slowly, peppering my neck with kisses. I moaned softly with each thrust. I threw my head back and closed my eyes. He began to move faster. I couldn't contain myself anymore and moaned loudly. Sakura, he moaned, and then I felt something warm spreading inside me. I screamed and came to. I sat on him, breathing heavily. The guy kept his arm around my waist, and I rested my head on his shoulder. I just slept with my boyfriend's younger brother. I slowly raised my head and looked at the guy. His eyes were closed, and there was a blush on his cheeks. So cute. He was breathing as heavily as I was. And then he opened his eyes and looked at me. He probably thought I would just get up and leave without saying anything. But instead, I smiled at him. He smiled back and ran his hand down my cheek. Then he gently touched my lips with his. I immediately began to respond. Who are you here with? I asked, breaking away from the guy. With Saigetsu and Sasori, he replied. The last name made me tense. What's the matter? The brunette asked, clearly noticing my condition. My ex, I answered with a sigh. Him? So he was telling me about you. Like, he wants to get back the girl he's been seeing for a while. And that she has pink hair. Damn, that's not hard to guess, Sasuke said. I giggled and, pulling my dress up over my chest, got off the guy. I turned my back to him, letting him get dressed. When I turned around, he had already buttoned his jeans. "Shall we go?" I asked. He nodded and we left. I headed towards Naruto and Hinata, and Sasuke towards his friends. "Where have you been?" Naruto asked immediately. "Me? Well, I was outside," I answered, blushing a little. "Let's say I believed you." "And where's Sasuke?" "We saw you together." "How should I know?" I snapped, sitting down next to him. "Damn. Where did he go?" The blonde scratched the back of his head. And then my phone rang. Glancing at the display, I realized it was Itachi calling. XO. Damn bastard. I dropped the call. I noticed I had several missed calls from the guy. Then I decided to end it all. I started texting him. "It's over between us. Go back to your Karen." After sending the text, I poured myself some sake. And then they called me again, but just like last time, I hung up. "Naruto, please bring me a cocktail," Hinata said. The blonde immediately rushed to fulfill his girlfriend's request. "So what happened to you?" I heard my sister's voice. "She figured it out, the little devil." "Everything is fine with me," I answered, not looking at the brunette. "Oh, really? Go ahead, tell me." I sighed heavily. "I caught Itachi and Karen doing that very thing," I answered, barely holding back my tears. "Nani? Is this a joke?" she said in shock. "No. It's the honest truth," I said quietly. "And I also cheated on him. Just now." "What?" Her eyes widened in shock. "With whom?" "You won't believe it. With Sasuke." After my words, the glass fell from her hands, and sake spilled all over the table. "This can't be." Maybe, I said, and drank my drink. "Look who I found," Naruto said as he arrived. I looked up and saw Sasuke standing near our table. I blushed and immediately looked away. "Oh, someone's calling me," the brunette said, taking out her phone.